Trump's new reasoning for Iran strike and takeaways from the first 2026 primary and everything like that. I will bring in Sasha Starr and also bring in Dr. Sharif and see what they've got to say. Well, Dr. Sharif is left, but hopefully he'll come back. But I'll bring in Sasha Starr and see some of his reactions to things going on in the world, including what's going on in Iran and all along those lines. So lots going on in the world, as we know, and everything like that. And the U.S. just took out two China-friendly leaders in 2 months, and definitely we'll see what goes on in that sense of China-American relationships. And China is about to show the world its plans to win the future. The National People's Congress, what is China's two sessions, and why does it matter? So that's definitely something that folks are talking about as China's next 5-year plan may hold in store a lot for the commodities market. So we'll see how that plays out as well. So, Sasha, how are you doing today? I know we're waiting for other people. So it looks like Tellerico defeated Crockett in the Texas Senate Democratic primary. I know that here we had a tight race between Valerie Fauché, and Anita Adams, and I think it was less than 1% that separated them. So I don't know if they're going to have a runoff or not, but it was definitely a very close race and all in that space. So Cohen is still in the fight, and the folks are asking whether Trump will endorse him, but it looks like Jasmine Crockett did not win and everything like that. So lots going on in the world, including Mashtaba Kamani, son of the former supreme leader, tipped to become Iran's next head of state. So it looks like the son will be taken over as the supreme leader and everything like that. And Tillis threatens to hijack the Senate business amid frustrations with Kristi Noem. So Republicans will Noem over her management of the DHS, and it looks like she'll be testifying for the second day today and everything like that. So what are some of the news stories that you're seeing as well? I do see that with partners who are in the country illegal, some American women have chosen to move back to Mexico to be with their partners and everything like that. So what are some of the stories that you're seeing? I'll have to find out what's going on in Spain, because I know Nick sometimes come in and they're saying Spain leader rejected the Iran war, escalating his long feud with Trump. So it looks like the Spanish leader is not happy with the war. So he says no to war. Spain prime minister hits back at Trump threat to cut trade over airbase dispute. So it looks like they're not trying to be involved in this war. So what are some of the stories you're hearing about?
Concerning the war, two things. Number one, Trump yesterday has guaranteed that the ships can continue to use Hormuz Strait, and so the United States
They're
will
upstairs.
obligation
Uh-huh.
to protect the ships over there.
Doing good. I'll do
Now,
this at home for them. Yeah.
that pacifies the market somewhat, as the oil took back a few dollars. And the overall stock market, especially today, showed the signs of being alive. Let's put it this way. We don't know how long it will last or so, but it's up today significantly, by the way. The Bitcoin went up as well.
Josh.
And the negative side in this war so far is that US cannot protect their allies, their bases, military bases in Middle East, the embassies. So Iran continue ferocious attacks by drones, and it seems to me that although Ukraine has a great experience in fighting the drone attacks in the last few years, war against Russia, U.S. Ignores that and is not asking Ukraine to provide its experience and expertise to fight Iranian drones. That's quite surprising. But anyway, that's choice of U.S. leadership, and that's the way it is. So there will be more attacks on U.S. targets, the embassies, the bases, the any other targets in that region by Iran. Regrettably so, because they could have been done differently. That's my view. Now, on Canadian news, Carney continues its very successful trip to India, um, Australia, where he addressed the parliament, and followed that by Japan. The contracts worth billions of dollars were signed between Canada and other countries. Uh, they recognize Canadian dollar as the exchange mechanism, the payment mechanism. So this is all activities are going just around US, and US will have absolutely no part of any of these arrangements, agreements, and contracts. So I'm following that as well. Okay, Rick, now it's back to you.
Yeah, hey Rick, glad you joined us and everything like that. I'm over at the center, as you know. Sometimes I'm doing stuff from over here. I did have a question for Sasha. It looks like Anthropic nears 20 billion revenue run rate amid Pentagon feud. So it looks like they're having some issues with the Pentagon. So defense tech companies are dropping Claude after Pentagon's Anthropic blacklist. So what kind of impact is this
Well,
going
so
to be
here's what
on the
happened.
market with?
The Pentagon wanted to use Anthropic for a couple purposes that Anthropic objected to. They wanted to use Anthropic to spy on Americans because we have a lot of surveillance cameras in the U.S. 15 cameras for every 100 people, and we have other ways of gathering information on Americans. But it's so much information that humans can't look at it all. So you need AI to search, like if people are talking on the phone and they're overheard, or if they're texting and they use certain words, maybe like bomb or whatever, AI will catch it and then, kick it upstairs for a human to look at. Anthropic didn't want to be used for that kind of spying. Two, Anthropic didn't want AI to be used willy-nilly to automate weapons systems. Anthropic didn't want that Skynet situation where AI is deciding where and when to fire weapons. They are a little bit skeptical of their own products' judgment in battle. And the Pentagon got pissed. They say, we're going to use your technology however we want. And Anthropic said, no, thank you. So now they're in a feud and they're being, blacklisted. And
Sounds good. Yeah, definitely. Good summary and everything like that. Hey, Rick, just really quickly, another story that is interesting from the U.S. and everything. How much should parents be responsible for their kids? Because a Georgia dad is the latest parent to be convicted when a child is accused of a gun crime. So the father of the Georgia school shooter has been found guilty of murder and manslaughter.
You have to look at the specifics of that case. And the details, the specifics are bad for the dad, where a number of people said your kid is a psycho who seems to be making a lot of noise about wanting to kill a lot of people. And the kid was, a whiny bitch, a psycho who was like just complaining about everything and was a problem for the parents. And the dad was like, if I just get him whatever he wants, which was mostly guns, maybe he'll freaking calm down and everything will be cool. When every indication was no, he was going to use the guns to kill a bunch of people. So it was a righteous prosecution and a righteous guilty verdict. Now,
yeah, that makes sense. It looks like case by case basis and everything. It looks like we're going into a third country war because it says that I knew we did Venezuela, we did Iran, and now the U.S. military has launched operations in Ecuador to combat drug trafficking. So the U.S. launches military operations in Ecuador. So what is our thoughts around that? Because that'll be the second Latin American country and the third country in the less than
everywhere. We can't, at some point we'll have to exercise some judgment. Like I am hoping that we don't decide to go up against North Korea, because North Korea has actual functioning nukes. And the city of Seoul, South Korea, is only 50 miles from the North Korean border. So North Korea has nukes and they have missiles. They don't have great missiles. They probably couldn't nuke the U.S., but they could certainly nuke a city that's only 50 miles from their border. So I'm just hoping that that the president who ran on no new wars gets back to wanting to not create any more new wars.
By the way,
That makes sense.
you mentioned something interesting. The example of North Korea actually makes you think that Iran may not 100% wrong by trying to acquire nuclear arms. Because if it would have now nuclear arms, US would never attack it. So maybe I'm not a big fan of Iranian government and their aims to destroy Israel and all other its so-called enemies. But I think probably they are right that for their security, they would be much better off by having nuclear arms and weapons rather than not. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a decent argument. Like I was looking up how far it is from Iran to Israel, because of all the countries in the Mideast, Iran probably hates Israel the most, and probably has been developing its weapon system with the objective of being able to fire on Israel at some point. And they're not that close. It's not like a North Korea, South Korea situation. They're like 1,000 miles apart.
No, but Rick, what's the logic is because the North Korea is so close to South Korea, then is it justified for North Korea to have nuclear weapons? And
Well,
for
it means
Iran,
we
it's not. I don't see a logic. I don't see a logic why North Korea in the first place was allowed to have nuclear weapons and Iran is not. In fact, it's more dangerous for North Korea to have nuclear weapons because it's so close to South Korea.
Well, I mean, one reason is that North Korea's northern neighbor is China. And if you poke at North Korea, you're also poking China. China sent, I mean, when we had the Korean War, North Korea only committed 250,000 troops. China sent in hundreds of thousands of troops.
So, Sasha, to kind of, I guess what you're looking for is an answer to that. There is no justification for it. Hence the reason why we had the nuclear arms deal, because we were getting into the whole, every country was trying to grab nuclear weapons as a deterrent for the other countries. Hence the reason why we had the.
I mean, there are lots of countries where it's not just where we would prefer they didn't have nuclear weapons. India and Pakistan both have dozens of nukes, and because they hate each other, and that's not great. There's a region of India and Pakistan. I think it's Kashmir. It's way up in the mountains in the Himalayas, where
It's Kashmir.
constantly
It's
fighting, but they don't even let them. Each side doesn't even let their troops use guns. They fight with fists and rocks and sticks because the countries themselves are so afraid of escalation that they won't even let their own troops fight with guns.
Well, that's honestly what the problem is now what Trump has done when he started pulling away from all of our different allies and throwing these extra hoops and hurdles that people had to jump through and breaking treaties and breaking all this other stuff, and also tearing up the arms deal with Russia. So now the nuclear arms race is back on. So therefore, all the other countries that are all around us are all going to start thinking about nuclear arms because that is the big deterrent, and that's the only deterrent. So now we're back into those small arms races that we were in the past. That reason that Iran isn't allowed to have and North Korea is allowed to have. There's no we have no answer to that besides just the nuclear arms deals and the sanctions and the treaties that we've had.
It's the difference is alliances. That North Korea has China as its big brother, and Iran. I just asked AI, what are Iran's goals? And it's to preserve the regime, to achieve regional dominance, and but the deal is that Iran is kind of an asshole in the Mideast. It's not aligned with any other countries, so it uses guerrilla forces in other countries. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas, Gaza, Houthis in Yemen. So it can't make friends with governments, but it makes friends with these outlying guerrilla groups that do it.
So and check out this analogy. And again, we all have to start from the agreement, because what ends up happening when we have these discussions, people take little words out of the individuals that aren't here right now, but there's an individual that does own the network who takes words out of stuff and then tries to share stuff around, all this craziness. So we all start from the same understanding. Iran is a bad actor. We all know that. Arguing anything different or saying that, oh, well, only this person, no, you're just trying to create some bogus narrative so you can create some moral high ground. So to start from that, if you think about how, Rick, you were just talking about utilizing the different areas to go, how Iran uses more of a dominant approach or dominance approach to attack other individuals and other players out there. What are we currently doing? We are going to Ecuador. We've gone into Venezuela. We're going into Mexico. We're going into all these other places, utilizing all these other bases, but we're not utilizing other actors. We have those actors in those places. Iran has Hezbollah in Lebanon. We don't have Hezbollah in Lebanon. We have bases. So if you think about how this administration is acting, how much different is it if you just, again, Venezuela, we didn't change we just found a player that was going to play along with whatever Trump wanted to do. And Trump is just going down there and stealing oil from the Venezuelans now. How is that different from Maduro, besides changing the Maduro name?
Change it from Maduro to Trump.
I can actually
change it from Maduro to Trump
answer.
and everything like that. I saw Nick popped in. I'm actually got ready to do a presentation. I did hear some good news, Jacoby, that you're going to be doing a program here at the center where I'm located at and everything. I heard some bad news because Steve Rao finished in 4th and did not make the cutoff and everything along those lines. I'm going to turn it over to Nick and y'all can argue back and forth. But I will be ready for you, Sasha, at 1 o'clock and everything because it's only a 30-minute hour presentation.
Thank you.
Mark, why are you in a bunker?
I'm not in the bunker. I'm over at HR.
But I'm going to help Jacoby out because he doesn't know why and what happened in Venezuela. Here's what happened. Yes, we overthrew Maduro because he's a bad actor. And now, as we're saying today, Venezuela is exporting twice as much oil as they did before. So there has been change. And it looks like it's positive for the people in Venezuela. Now the thing is, let's go look at Iran. There was a prior administration, and I believe it was Obama or Biden, and they gave Iran $2 billion.
Oh, no.
They did not. You keep lying. Every time you come over here, you keep lying.
What they did is they said, here's how
you
we're going
lied.
to Iran. And they've executed what they call administrative change. That, as you can see in the United States and around the world, most of the Iranians are in favor of, because the Iranian the clerics had a vice grip over the government, and we let this go on way too long. So we can thank President Trump, and I know you.
Nothing has changed.
Him as long as. We got co-opted.
Nothing
So the
has
thing is,
changed.
you can look at it this way. This is what great countries do. They don't let little tiny, dictators overrun them. And so the thing is, the United States
Okay.
is doing the right thing. They should have done a long time
So
ago.
you have just come on this channel and lied. Outright just
No, I
lied.
didn't say anything. It was
Just
a lie.
because you're spreading the propaganda. You
Can
lied.
please point
You
out
literally
what the lie-
lied. You
Can you
didn't.
point out
You want me to
what the
point
lie
out the
is?
lie? You want me to point out? If you want me to point out the lie, then stop talking. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the lie that you first started out with is that, the U.S. came in and changed no, they just removed Maduro.
Yeah.
They kept the actual. They
They
kept the actual
Maduro's
government.
vice president. They kept the
Exactly.
vice president.
So the whole thing is still the same. There's
It's not
still
the same.
people getting killed in Venezuela. There's still a regime that is still heavy-handed over top of them in
That's your
Venezuela.
opinion.
In Iran,
Your opinion,
no, it's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's a fact. Did they remove the government of Venezuela, or did they just remove Maduro? Which one
They
is
just
it? Nick?
removed. They
Thank
cut
you.
off
So the
that.
government is still there. So again, coming in stating that, they removed the Maduro regime is a lie. Number two, in Iran, you came in and said they removed in Iran. In Iran, you came in stating that, they removed all the players in Iran. No, they did not. They did not. They took out the Ayatollah. Yes, they took out the Ayatollah. Nobody's shedding a tear for that. People are happy about that.
Yeah.
But you know what else? People were happy that first little bit of time in Iran, but now they're worried because bombs are still dropping. People are still being killed. There was a whole girls' school that was bombed, and everyone there was killed. And the little children were killed.
Sasha,
so again, that is a lie.
Okay.
Sasha.
Yesterday on a Ukrainian show, I discussed the situation with Dr. Lockwood. And the premises were that if U.S. wants to control situation in Venezuela, in Colombia, in Ecuador, and Greenland and Canada, and Middle East, and a bunch of other destinations. So they have this ship, this giant avia carrier, Gerald Ford. So 1 week, Gerald Ford, you go to Venezuela. Okay, you've done that. Okay, now you go to, how about the Middle East? Oh, you've done that. Okay, go to Greenland now. Or so eventually, U.S. needs 6-7 Gerald Fords to take care of all the destinations that U.S. wants to meddle, trying to control, or somehow acquire, or buy, or whatever they want to do. There is no power in the world that can do, including United States. United States can do certain things, but for example, what it cannot do, it cannot protect its allies in the Middle East. It cannot, and surprisingly enough, this Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, they are the biggest sponsors of Trump. They are giving Trump trillions of dollars. They appoint his son-in-law to run investments worth billions of dollars, and U.S. cannot protect them. How does it work? Why would they give any more money to Trump, who cannot protect their countries, their citizens? Nothing at all. Furthermore, United States cannot protect their military bases. If that's the case, why United States need 800 bases around the world where it cannot protect them? So they're becoming actually targets for regimes like Iran and some other unfriendly regimes to attack. So U.S. would be much better off not to have any bases at all. And that's why U.S. would not be so vulnerable, because obviously Iran cannot attack continental Russia. We know that, and it's 100%. So if there wouldn't be for U.S. bases in this region, then the United States would play no loose variation. When you attack, okay, you are killing Iranians as many as you want, and there will be no retaliation because Iran cannot retaliate against continental U.S. But Iran can retaliate very well against targets in the region, including U.S. bases, the consulates, embassies, the local targets, and so on. So I really don't understand all that, where it's all going, because Iran has incredible amount of drones and different missiles to keep on fighting for several months. So U.S. will run out of weapons much faster than Iran. So where you're going with all that? Come on.
So, Nick, a few minutes ago, you said that Obama gave Iran millions of bucks. Let me explain the background on this. In 1979, the Shah, there was an Islamic revolution in a westernized Iran that was our friend. They kicked out the Shah, who was kind of a dick and also distracted because he was dying of cancer. And the Ayatollahs came in. This is 46, 47 years ago. And Iran became a bad actor in the world. And Jimmy Carter started freezing Iran's foreign assets. You know, Iran was a rich country, making a lot of money off of oil, investing in other countries, but it turned into a dick. So now Iran has between 100 and 120 billion dollars in frozen assets around the world. And at various times, based on Iran's behavior, more or less of those assets have been frozen or unfrozen. And Obama unfroze some of their assets after Iran negotiated this nuclear arms control deal. It was like the carrot that went with the stick. No, we did not give 120 billion to, we don't have that much. It's 120 billion frozen the world over. According to Wikipedia, we have 2 billion in Iran's money. South Korea has 7 billion. China has 20 billion. So when you say we gave Iran billions, what we did was we released some of Iran's money back to Iran with only specific purposes. We said you could only use this for humanitarian purposes. Of course, they didn't use it for that, but that's the background on giving money to Iran.
And that's basically what I was saying. In other words, the thing is,
no, that is not what you stated.
Thank you, Rick.
You did not state that.
So that we all know that that's what was going on. By the way, what our friend in Canada said is all hypothetical. In other words, he's saying, oh, the U.S. should have no basis. The U.S. should do nothing. That's a Canadian thing. That's not an American thing. We have 800 bases. We are the world's largest economy. And I'm sorry, Sasha, we are not going to run out of missiles. We have a $1 trillion budget. And check me on this one, Rick. I think Iran has a $10 billion budget. Check me on this.
The thing is,
but I know that America is close to 1 trillion. We dwarf all the other countries when it comes to our military. So for those people who want to make America weak again, which is Canada and liberals, you guys can forget it.
All right, you're just saying some dumb stuff again. Also, let me point this out to you, Nick. Let me point this out. Let me point this out to you, Nick, real quick. MAGA's big push was to actually close the bases and bring everybody home. That was MAGA's big push. So Trump doing all this, policing the world and actually utilizing all these bases goes against MAGA's idea in the first place. So then also what Sasha was actually referring to is that we're in an election year. We're now back in another war, another never-ending war that Trump actually even tried to acknowledge just yesterday, saying that we could actually continue this war forever. So we're in another endless forever war in an election year. And honestly, do you really think that the citizens of the United States want this? You can check the polling. So therefore, the reason why nothing has changed in Iran is the fact that they know that they can wait this out. They don't have to sit here and drop all their bombs or shoot all their stuff. They can make it heck for every surrounding country, just as Sasha perfectly pointed out, from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, all the countries around Iran. They can make it heck for them. And those countries gave money to Trump. And do you think those monies, just as Sasha pointed out, are going to continue to give money? Because right now, out loud, they're saying things to the cameras because they got to keep the number one person they bought happy. But behind the scenes, they're upset. Hence the reason why the people of Pakistan went, or some of the people in Pakistan went and attacked the U.S. embassy. That's why they've closed the U.S. embassies in particular places, because, as Sasha again pointed out, they are targets now. They are perfectly
I have
uncovered targets.
Nick talked about, okay, so the U.S. has a military budget of about $1 trillion. Iran's annual budget, they've been increasing it. It's now up to $23 billion a year, which is 1/40th of our budget. However, the cost of human capital in Iran is like ridiculously less. The average soldier in Iran makes between $700 and $3,000 a year, and they have 600,000 regular soldiers, another 350,000 reserves, so they can afford to have a big army, the world's 7th largest army, because they don't get paid much.
That's
But
right.
wait,
And just like
here's
Reacher
more.
said, take
Here's
out
more
top
for you
five,
though, because remember
last
what
two
we're
guys
we're
always
forgetting.
run.
What we're forgetting is that, honestly, I guess Nick, of course, doing these crazy talking points, didn't listen to our good friend Dr. Sharif, who talked about all the scientists and all the programmers that are there. Do you realize how much money that we placed into Saudi Arabia to try and build a data center? That also deals with what the New Age war is. Sasha actually told you about the amount of drones that they have. That is the New Age war. So if we're looking at the technology behind all this stuff, guess who has not put into effect the cyber warfare? And we want to sit here and act as if that is not on the docket too. So if they attack our infrastructure with the cyber warfare, because we have a very bad setup around our infrastructure,
only one thing, what
especially
will
around
happen
cyber.
is that
You
United
guys
States
really are
is fighting
dreaming.
war of
It's the
20th
US
century
that had
and
the cyber
Iran is
warfare.
fighting war of 21st century. They are technologically much more advanced than US, and they have their own
Iran's more
capacity.
technologically advanced.
They have
How about Canada?
perfected war by drones, and they inflict huge damage. And the end of it will be that all these Gulf countries in the region, they will kick out all US bases because they don't provide any goods to local population or even governments for that matter. They cannot defend these countries. So therefore, there will be the end of financing of US. US is now, debt is approaching $39 trillion. It's almost there, and it's growing. In 3-4 months it will be $40 trillion. So who needs a partner like that who is like a beggar? He's going over here and over there and over there. Oh, you give me some money. Oh, thank you. Give me some money, I will defend you. But you cannot defend. You are taking money and you cannot deliver the defense, so they will kick you out. Nobody needs the beggar who cannot even keep their words.
I'd like to remind our friend from Canada, the world's largest economy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're talking about military budget of US. Iran can be much more effective with 1/10 of the US budget. 1/20 because of the drones, because they experience how to use the drone. And US has none of it. So therefore, US $10 trillion budget, it's useless.
You're just jealous. You're just jealous.
This is
all right.
You're jealous.
Quit whining about. All right, here I have two things. One is a listener, a viewer wrote in asking, "Do we approve of the nearly $250 million that Kristi Noem spent in TV ads promoting ICE?" And of course, no, I don't approve of Kristi Noem. She's an idiot. She has no relevant experience. She was governor of one of America's smallest states in population. No law enforcement experience, runs a terrible culture at ICE. However, I kind of am in favor of leaving her in charge, even though it's bad for America, because it's good for my political party. To see her being an incompetent dick will help us in the November midterm election. That's thing one. Thing two is the betting markets on Iran. So the odds, according to the bookies, to Poly Market, there's only a 1 in 6 chance that the Iranian regime falls by the end of this month. A 40% chance it falls by the end of June. A 62% chance that the regime doesn't fall at all. This is according to the bookies, to the people who bet on this stuff.
Okay, well, you know, as I say, never bet against us. You know,
so people are betting against us,
like it or not, in Canada and around the world. It is the world's largest economy and growing proportionally. Not only that, we have the world's largest military by far when it comes to Iran. It's not even close. So this is like a chess game where one person's 2,700 chess players will understand it, and they're beating up on a 1,200 player. It's just not going to happen. The 1,200 player is going to lose. So Iran is going to lose. The only question is how bad. That's the question.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you on that one, Nick. Did North Korea lose, or in that war? Did Korea lose?
Did Japan lose?
Did Korea lose?
Question for you. Did Japan lose?
Did Korea lose? I'm asking you a simple question. Why are you trying to pivot? I'm asking you a question. Stop trying to pivot. Did Korea lose?
Hey, did the sun go down?
You're sitting here trying to pivot again, and you're still not answering the question. Again, I'm not letting you out of this. Did Korea lose?
You're bringing up irrelevant issues.
It's a very relevant issue. It's a war. It's the same way we went to before. Did Korea lose? Answer the question. Stop trying to pivot.
It's irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the issue of.
It is not irrelevant. Again, we went to Korea and tried to do all the same things that we did in Iran, right? Same thing in Iraq. Did that go well? Was that a winning losing situation, or were we stuck there for a while? Again, the problem that you have really, Nick, with your whole argument, with your whole ideas. Again, the problem that you have with your whole ideas and all this stuff is the fact that you are ignoring history and you are ignoring what's going on. You want to win the chess. You're saying that this one dominant grandmaster could never lose to anybody else. Yes, people can get lucky and beat somebody else. LeBron James has lost to others. Patrick Mahomes didn't win every Super Bowl currently. Tom Brady didn't win every Super Bowl. All this other stuff. We go all these things. They're better players and stuff like that. But the problem is right now what we're sitting at is there are vulnerabilities in the U.S. infrastructure. Cybersecurity is a problem in the U.S. infrastructure right now, and that can be hacked. There are also other players in the area where you're sitting there bombing, and Sasha pointed out to you that all these other countries are feeling the pain of what you are actually advocating for. So all these deaths that are happening in these other countries are basically on your hands because you're championing it. That's not the way this is supposed to work. We actually had a real quick over.
Let me answer.
We had a deal that was there that was stopping Iran, but now it's torn up.
Let me answer Nick's question. Did Japan lose in World War II? Yes, and it cost us 2 atomic bombs and 112,000 dead U.S. military personnel. So to take down Japan, we spent a huge amount of lives and technology that we don't ever want to deploy again. So is it going to take it? We spent 3.5 years fighting World War II. We don't want to spend 3 years fighting Iran.
But we have new technology. Of course, the internet. Who knows if it's true? They were showing these hyper lasers. It could be a complete AI fabrication. But if
it is AI fabricated.
if it's true, it's pretty good. We also saw what happened in Venezuela. The U.S. knocked out all their capabilities. We came in, we destroyed them, literally. And if you look at what happened here in, where was it, Iran?
Venezuela, do you know that there were military individuals? 40 people died in that?
Of their ballistic missiles were destroyed on the first day. Now we're moving into day 4. We don't have the intelligence yet, but
we already have 6 American soldiers dead because of this war.
You guys are betting on Iran.
No, what we're talking about, Nick, what we're talking about is the cost.
US versus Iran.
You're not listening.
By the way, I believe
you're not listening. You're just saying words and not listening.
We can beat Canada in hockey too. Oh, we beat them twice. So I'm betting on the U.S. You guys, you liberals.
Okay, let me point this out to you because you're ignorant on these things. Why do you say such dumb stuff? Again, instead of actually saying, having an intelligent conversation, we're having to deal with the dumb ignorance that you're saying. You want to say that, oh, wow, in terms of, we'll just go to the Olympics that you just pointed out. Yes, we won. How many times have we won that gold medal? 3. How many times has Canada won that gold medal? Multiple times more. So if you're talking about in terms of the U.S., the U.S. has improved in hockey. I understand that, and I can actually speak intelligently on that because I know the sport well. You cannot. Now, when we're talking about this technology, you're acting as if everybody else is in the Stone Age, and the U.S. is the only one that improved their technology. That's not the way the world works. Everybody has improved their technology. And currently right now, yeah, sure, Iran doesn't have the ballistic missile technology. They don't have the nuclear technology, even though we went into war because we claim that they supposedly do, but they don't have that technology. But the problem is they do have other technologies that are out there that can actually cause problems, which is what's going on. And then on top of that, because of the infrastructure that they built around their leadership, we're doing nothing but killing people. And that is not what we're supposed to be doing. We actually had a nuclear deal in place. We had a deal in place, but this administration tore it up. And this administration has taken us to war because they tore up the actual last bill because just like you, who won't admit it, this administration hated anything that doesn't have the name Trump on there. And this administration especially hates individuals who have melanin in their skin who are in leadership. So that's the problem that we're in right now, is that this administration has created this problem. We're in a war of choice because of this administration.
All right, I like asking AI. Here's what AI says. Here's what AI says. I asked AI, why did the Iraqi army, which is roughly the size of Iran's army right now, collapse in 2003 when we invaded? And they said basically because of low morale. People didn't like fighting for Iraq anymore. And so then I asked, all right, so how's morale in the Iranian army? And AI tells me it's not great, particularly in the Revolutionary Guard, which it's their internal military. So, based on that, which is based on not much, maybe there is a chance that if we poke at Iran long enough, the army.
Rick,
wait,
long enough.
But that would wait, hold on, let me finish. I got one more sentence. But that would probably take a ground invasion. Do we really want?
Here's the real problem with all of that. Here's the real problem with all of that, and Nick can't even answer because there is no plan there. You said it may collapse, and if it does, we don't know how long that may take. But then, okay, what happens afterwards?
Oh, well, I mean, that's quite simple. It's the same thing. And I know you won't understand that because you don't like to read history. But the thing is, in Japan, once we got rid of their leadership, we bring in new leadership.
Is Japan in the Middle East?
and you get rid
Is
of
Japan in the Middle East?
I'll tell you, that's what's
Stop
gonna
saying dumb stuff. Stop. I'm just going to say that flatly now. I'm tired of using all the weird. Stop saying dumb stuff. Is Japan in the Middle East? No. Is what you're talking about, World War II, did that happen recently within the past 2-3 years? No. So please stop saying dumb stuff.
The new administration there.
Stop saying dumb stuff. You just keep saying it. It doesn't. Again, you're not listening. What happens afterwards?
That's because all you do is ramble on. You know, you don't say.
All right,
anything.
well, let's talk about what happens afterwards. In Germany, after Hitler fell, the Allies had to leave 1 million Allied soldiers in place
Please do
to
not rely
enforce
on the
the
U.S.
peace.
government for assisted departure or evacuation at this time.
Again,
There are currently
in
no
Germany,
United States
in that war, there were multiple people who helped. We have a war that was started between in Iran with the U.S. and Israel.
Kim wants us to listen to this whole deal.
But many
here.
are still there as missiles continue to fly.
There was no indication that we should have. State Department.
What is this?
This is discussing how to get stranded Americans out of the
Please do not
Mideast
rely on the
because
U.S.
we.
government for assisted departure or evacuation at this time. There are currently no United States evacuation points.
It just feels like they're leaving us stuck here. You know, we read article after article.
What were you doing there to begin with, idiot?
Read on the State Department that we should be finding our own commercial.
I travel a lot. I don't go over there when there's what's
There
the
are no
problem.
flights going out.
These friends from the north suburbs
Duh.
of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, where a suspected Iranian drone hit the U.S. consulate.
Physically and emotionally, we really, each one of us hit a wall today at different points, and just trying to stay together and trying to keep it together.
It's a stark message.
Please do not
What
rely
if they're
on the
liberals
U.S.
and they're betting
government
on
for assisted
Iran?
departure or evacuation at this time. There are currently no United States evacuation points.
It just feels like they're.
All right. We heard of that already. Okay.
Yeah. We heard all that stuff. I mean, the thing is, you know what happens when you travel, and I travel a lot. You do have to be very careful what countries you go to. Now, the thing is, of course, they didn't have the calculus that Iran would strike basically neutral countries, but it shows how bad this regime is that Jatovy would love to stay in place, but real Americans want to get rid of.
That again is dumb talking point that you're trying to make some silly narrative. Again, who had the calculus? Here's you wanted to hold on, Nick. Why did Marco Rubio say that we went to war with Iran? Because his calculus, which is you're saying is a dumb calculus, because all the liberals and blah, 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 his calculus is that Israel was striking Iran and Iran was then going to strike the U.S. because in retaliation to Israel. That was Marco Rubio's justification for this war. You're saying that the people
that much justification. My justification would be that regime killed 10 to 30,000 of their own people who were out innocently protesting, blinded many women, and basically repressed their people. So
you ever looked up did you ever look up Saudi Arabia?
We're not talking about Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. So that talking point means nothing.
We're not talking about North Korea. We're talking about Iran. We're not talking about Vietnam.
That talking point means nothing. Then that you just made your talking point move.
Wasn't this administered by U.S. administration? They are killing their own people. Is that justification for other powers like Iran, maybe France, maybe Japan, or whoever to attack United States? Probably not. So what U.S. has to do with thousands of people that regime killed in Iran? Nothing. They didn't kill Americans. They killed their own people for whatever reasons there might be. I'm not trying to justify that. What I'm trying to say is that U.S. has nothing to do with that whatsoever. And by the way, when you're talking about how dare Iran is to bomb the neutral Arab neighbors, They're not neutral. They allow U.S. military bases.
Oh my Lord!
So they're not
Trading
neutral.
with the enemy.
They
And
have
then
no justification to continue
That
to
is
bomb
garbage.
all these countries. And the more they do it, the better.
That is such garbage, Sasha. It's saying like we trade with Canada.
That's how it
so why
is.
don't they go
No
bomb-
longer there will be no more trade with Canada. The
Come on.
trade with Canada
Here's-
is done and
here's the
over.
big thing. Here's the big thing. The only justification, the only legal justification for us to be able to go to war like this is if there were an imminent threat. There is no imminent threat. There was no imminent threat. The administration says there were no imminent threat. So therefore, this is an illegal war.
Who by whose law? Show me the law, Jacoby.
So let me just say one thing before I
Wow,
go.
you're a poor lawyer that way.
So you,
You're
Nick,
not
you
either.
said,
And
Nick,
can't
you
even
said
fight
it
the
was
war.
would be
Go on.
simple. If the regime falls, then what comes after is simple. You install a new government. Looking at Japan, we had an occupation force of 400,000 soldiers in Japan for 7 years after the end of World War II. So it's not so simple to rebuild a government. Or Gaza does not have a government right now. I don't know when they will. One more thing. Somebody asked about Kristi Noem. Here's a breaking story that says that Kristi Noem, when she was governor of South Dakota, she had a $130,000 a year salary. She secretly took another $80,000 that was supposed to go to a political nonprofit. Will this get her in trouble? Probably not.
I don't know enough about the details of Kristi Noem to opine
Well,
on that.
she's a dope is the problem.
I wouldn't care about her either, but all I want to say, I'm not trying to prove that Iran will win war against United States. No. What I'm trying to say is that there will be collateral damage unacceptable to United States and its neighbors and allies. What is pathetic is that United States failed to defend their client states who provide trillions of dollars to, most of it to Trump personally. So this charlatan cannot even defend his donors.
Show me where we have.
How long do you think they will tolerate that? They will tell, just get out of here. You're no good. You cannot defend us. So get the hell out of it.
Oh, I see. We have contracts with
very
these
soon.
states to defend them. I don't see any of the contracts.
This,
we do have
okay,
a NATO contract.
U.S. is the
We have
greatest
contracts
economy in the world, right? It's the greatest army in the world, right? But the world is closing its doors to United States. Nobody needs United States anymore. United States prove incapable
Canada
of
may not need
friends. So who needs
There you go.
United States with this $5 trillion, $10 trillion, $125 trillion military budget? Come on, you know better.
No, it's close to $1 trillion military budget.
It doesn't
You gotta
matter.
add up
They
the
don't know
entire-
what to do
entire
with the
GDP
money.
of
They're
Canada.
incapable to rationally use this money for a war of 21st century. They are using this money to fight a war of 20th century. They're wasting billions and billions of American dollars of American people.
We have billions for
They are good for nothing. All they can do is, they could not even take Venezuela out. They took Maduro. Okay, they got it. Okay, next. Okay, you go to Venezuela, you go to Colombia, you go to Ecuador, you go to Cuba, you go to to Middle East, and so on. They need 7 Gerald Ford carriers to do this policy. There will be not enough money in this world to do a policy like that.
Yeah, we're really scared of a country that has 20 billion total, and we have 1 trillion. For
It
defense.
doesn't matter.
Really just-
They
my
inflict
hands are
the
just
damage
shaking.
with this little budget. What they have, they inflict unacceptable damage to United States military bases and
Good luck with that
the
one.
Middle East. It's unacceptable. You have to get out of there, and as soon as possible.
Not happening, Captain.
You will see.
What's going to happen is there will be regime change and we're going to win this, not war, but this special operation. That's what's
Bravo! You learned something from Putin. Great.
I know. I did learn
Do a
something.
good job at it.
Sasha. You don't call it a war.
It's a special operation. Venezuela was a special operation too. Venezuela was special operation. Now Iran is special operation. What's next?
Yeah, we don't do wars.
What's next? Good luck with your special operations.
It's
you will
a
have the
special
same result.
operation in
What
Iran.
Putin is now losing its war against Ukraine. Ukrainians are producing the weapons that US does not have. Ukraine is producing weapons that US does not have. Okay?
It'll be exciting.
Ukraine does not need US anymore. US has not supplied Ukraine with no help by 2025 at all. Zero. And
It'll be exciting to see. It'll be exciting to see how this goes, Sasha. But unfortunately,
decide with discuss with Putin $12 trillion investment, $12 trillion
tomorrow,
16 and 17.
Right. See you all tomorrow.